Welcome to week 7's lecture video. As promised, it is coming a little later than normal, but you know, I it's better late than never. And so I've been busy, but I've been thinking about all the different things I want to put in this week's lecture video. You guys have been doing an awesome job of keeping up with the pace. Week let's see, week 7 material is due this evening, and it is a lot. Don't get too boggled down with a few good commands. Do what you can. Um, it's graded more so on completion. If some of the commands don't produce the desired output, it's okay. Just keep. I don't want you to get tired down with that assignment and worn down with it, because it is pretty intense. I tried to make a lecture video or give you a resource there for this, and even when I did it, I was able to get through a few in about an hour. It took a while. um, Now, going forward, we're going to be talking about the project input validator. It is due 2 weeks from today, so June 4th. Um, and that's what it is, right? And we'll be talking about it and discussing it like for today. So we're gonna have like kind of an intro to um, bash scripting, and we do have a lot of resources on bash scripting as well. If you go into our file section and then go into our ebook sections, again, we have some pretty desired Linux books. These are some of the best recommended Linux manuals or resources available, and they're fairly current for the most part. So, and I'm pretty sure almost all of them um, may have a chapter or section on Bash scripting. So that's what we're going to be focusing in on today. All right. So I guess the first thing we'll do is pull up Bash. Oh, in fact, I'm going to pull up my Kali Linux machine here. I just have the terminal running, and I want to start with a script. So I'm gonna call it. So right now in my present working directory, I'm in the root directory. If I list out the contents, nothing. If I list out all the contents, including the hidden files, okay, there's more than just nothing. couple of things, it looks like, yeah. Let's clear that. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a file, and then we're going to go in and edit the file. And for this file, I'm going to call it John. So just VI and then John. All right. So I'm in Vim. I have a file called John. I'm going to hit Insert to switch into insert mode. Let's see, make sure I'm there. Sometimes it's hard to see when your screen is zoomed. All right. So I have a script. I'm using Vim to write my script. Um, there are many different types of text editors, and people choose different things for different reasons. But the first part of bash scripting is to create a script, and that is an algorithm, a series of commands that will then be executed by the computer line by line. And so it's important to be able to be very precise in our commands, and give it the correct syntax, and so it's important for us to learn the different the ways in which the language works for bash scripting. So they usually start off with a shebang, and that's this. Let's see, hold on. That's okay. Let me get out of this. There's my shebang. And then I'm going to put in bin/bash. And basically that line tells the system to execute the script using the bash interpreter. And that is where the bash interpreter is stored, in that directory, in the bin bash binary/bash directory. I'm going to store a variable called John, so name equals John, and then I'm going to put age, let's go back, equals so let's give me that. Hold on. Let's get back in there. Let's do a cat John, make sure everything is working properly. Alright, that's all I have in my script. Let's go back into the John file, and I'm going to hit insert. Okay, something must be wrong with my keyboard here. This is like, this is becoming a pain. Let's get back in there. Alright. I know what needs to happen. I am going to switch to Ubuntu, and for this we're going to create a new file called John. I'm going to do a shebang. Is that? And let's zoom in on this. And now let's do the variable name is equal to John. and John happens to be a string, and age is defined as 25, and let's see what happens after I execute this script. If I were to type the word name or echo name, it should probably display John. So let's go to alright. Alright, I can't execute that file without being the root user, so let's see. Alright, I actually have to change the permission just to run that. So I'm going to do, let's see, change mod. Should have remembered to do this. Because right now, if we check the type of file that John is, it doesn't have the right permissions that we're looking for. So anyway, let's do change mod. Let's see, hold on. If we go to John, let's just double check. Where's John at? There's John. Right now it has read, write, da 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 da. So we're going to fix that by doing a change mod plus X, and then we're going to do John. Now if I do, let's go to John. We can execute it. This is just great. It's changed. It's even the color coordination of it changed as well. So let's actually execute this. Hold on. Let's get comfortable. I'm going to do John. Let's see what happened here. Age command was not found. Yes, we need our equal sign without any space. In fact, I'll put this next to it as well. Alright. Now if I were to type echo age, let's see what happens. What about echo the value of age? I guess I did a temporary variable. It wasn't necessarily a global variable. Same thing with echo name. It's just going to do it, but trying to get it to say execute. I guess my script didn't really do anything. Everything is just It's local to the script. I guess I should try another type of example of this. Like, if we go back in, and instead of just listing out the different variables, let's have our code prompt the user for something. So we're going to go with, I'm going to do a comment, prompt user for name by doing the read command. Hey, enter your name, and we're going to call that name whatever he enters in, and then we're going to do echo hello, recall the name variable with the name variable there. Nice to meet you. Alright. By the way, did that thing just... Yeah, it's not going to do it. Let's run that code. Same command this time, John. It says enter your name. I'm going to type Thomas. Hello, Thomas. Nice to meet you. That's what the program is all about. Okay. This is bash scripting. So, and if we look at the program again, let's do a cat John. This is what the program, this is our script. It's just a few lines of code. We're prompting the user, and then we, with the echo command, we're greeting the user. And notice how we're reading in the name, but also the read command is also displaying the quotes. And the P option, it basically stands for to prompt the message. So it waits for user input. So we can do read with a prompt, and then we stored the user input in a variable. We called it name, and then we recalled the variable with the $sign. Okay. So that's kind of how it worked. It's pretty straightforward. Nothing too complex. We can do another example here. Let's see. Let's call it add. vi add, and I'm going to call it with a .sh for shell. Insert mode, and this time we're going to do a shebang. Let's do a read prompt. Enter the first number. Let's call it num1. enter the second number, let's call that num2, and then here what we're going to do is take the sum $, num1 plus num2, and finally we'll do echo the sum of num1 and num2 is sum. Okay, again, we know what the read does. It prompts the user for the input. We're storing the variables in num1 and num2, and then we do the sum equals $num1 plus num2, followed with a echo command to display the sum to the user. Now, before we can run the script, we got to save it. And now we also have to change, modify this script so that it can be executed. And now we can just run the script. Enter the first number, 2. Enter the second number, 3. The sum of 2 and 3 is 5. So we're starting to get a little bit more practice with this. It does take a little bit of know-how. Now here's the problem. All right. In the world that we live in, there's threats everywhere. In the times that we live in, a lot of the threats are coming through technology, through the internet, software. There are cyber attacks happening everywhere. Our code is vulnerable. The moment we ask the user to input something, the truth is that they could exploit the program in such a way that they can inject malicious code that could eventually lead to them taking over the machine and having root access. And then they could easily copy, steal, or erase sensitive, private information. And so that's where our project comes in at. The project is titled Input Validator, because quite often a good program will validate the input. When you prompt a user for a certain command, it's a great idea to have some restrictions on what they can input. And if they don't input the expected value, the computer then spits out or does not process the other input, and they will basically um, either exit out or um, have them prompt the user to input the answer in the correct format. And that little piece of input validation that the program has could be a lifesaver, because as it stands now, the program that I have here, it's accepting numbers, but what if I didn't put in a number? And there are many cases of um, inputting malicious code to do or carry out some kind of command and exploit the program. And the moment you can get the program to do what it's not intended to do, you have in essence um, exploited the program. So what I want to do is I want to modify, actually, with logic statements. I want to modify our addition program. And there's actually a pretty clever way to do that. Now, one way to do that, there's many ways, but one way is to create a function that will check if the input is valid or not. And inside that function will contain a lot of different expressions, a regular expression. Because we did study a little bit about the regex. A regular expression could check the value of the input. Like if it's within this expression, then it's valid. If it is not within the expression, it is invalid. And maybe our program should be a little bit more specific. It's just say enter any two-digit number or enter the first number. And what we could do is check if it's a number and something else, if it's only a number, or if it's a number and then other malicious code attached to it. So that's what this is. That's what this is all about. And so what we have here, and I'll create another example. We're going to call it touch addition shell program. And now we're going to go inside that. And I actually have some code that I can use here. Let's go over this. It's basically an update. Let's start from the top. We got the shebang, bin bash, a comment, and this is our function, is number. Notice that regular expression there. The first thing our function says is it defines our RE as, all right, look at the caret, and then we have from 0 to 9 plus $. And then it says, if not, you know, $1 not equal to RE, then return 1, and the FE is return 0. Okay. So if the input is not a number, return 1, else return 0. There's also a while loop, so for each input prompt to repeatedly ask the user to enter the number until a valid input is provided. If the input is not a number, it displays an error message and asks for the input again. And we can test this out. Once valid, so this is happening while this is true. We have another one too for num2, the input validation for num2. If is number, we're inputting that into the function num2 is true, then break, else, and fi is the end of the if statement, and then done. And it keeps doing that until it is true. If it is false every time, it's going to go in this cycle. So we have an if then else done. Now, once they actually are valid, it's just straightforward now. It's going to perform the addition, and then it is going to display the result. So I'm going to hit escape, write, quit. I'm going to save this. Let's cat it. This is what the code looks like from beginning to end. Looks good. It's saved properly. Let's change the mods on this program to execute, because when we created the file it was only read write. And now let's run the code. Enter the first number. Okay, 3. Second, 5. The sum is 8. It worked. What about invalid input, enter a number? Alright, enter the second number. So I'm stuck inside that loop now, so I'll do, it's not good. Now I could lead off with 0, 2. We could probably modify it so that your digit does not start with a 0. Okay, this could potentially be a problem, because we could overflow the buffer. We can load it up with a bunch of zeros or any other number. And once the buffer is overflowed, you can then begin, it won't check anymore. It will not be in that loop anymore. If the buffer is overflowed, that variable, everything gets written over, and you can start to write code. So you have to figure out how many characters does it take to overflow the buffer. And that's just a matter of understanding the bash language. And when you create variables, how many bytes does that variable take up? And there's an answer to this. There's a way to figure this out by analyzing the code and debugging. So like, for example, if I were to run the code again and do, I'll just do 2, and then I'll just start entering in a bunch of numbers. It's good to count how many numbers, but I didn't count. Is this true? No. I overflowed the buffer. 6, 7, 8. 8 was good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 was good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 17. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? Now, it's between 16 and 20. Let's run the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. The 20th number, the 20th digit, causes the entire program to blow apart. There needs to be some kind of restriction, because I could begin to inject malicious code by overflowing the buffer. If I was a user and this was my code and I had to enter in a certain number, the 20th digit, after the 20th digit, I could start to write code and rewrite a line of code. I could even probably get it to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I could start to say, hey, num2 is equal to 5. I could say num1 is, you know, 20. It can get just, it could get crazy. It could get really crazy. So I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. A. Now, our program does a really good job with that, screening whether or not you're entering in numerical values. But you can overflow the buffer with only numbers alone. And we could get to the bottom line on where this number, where did this number really come from? How did it interpret it like this? And I think what it does, it has to do with probably the ASCII of the number 1. And maybe that was being multiplied by something. And then when it was combined with 1, we got this result. It's just really, really weird as to why that happened. So that's pretty much what our lesson's going to be about. Let's go back in there real quick. We'll just do cat addition. Now remember, this regular expression pattern I didn't talk too much about, but it basically in order for this to be true, it basically matches a string that consists of 1 or more digits with the plus sign. Of course, there is a restriction though. The number should only have up to 20 characters, and that should be restricted. And the $1 is what is being passed into the function. So where it says is number, there's the variable that's being passed in the function, and then we're testing it inside the function. $1 is really num1, and we're checking to see if it is a number. And when you return 1, that is considered true. You're breaking out. If not, return 0. It's false. You're still in this loop. So you're going to continue to do this until it's true. The while loop is pretty powerful. I mean, this is how it's used. This is one of the basic examples of using the while loop that I could think of. And this is a good program to study. We could kind of use this type of code for the project too. So let's talk a little bit about the project. So the objective of this product is to produce a program that validates its input using a regular expression. Produce a command line bash script or equivalent. So for this assignment, you don't have to stick with bash. Perl and Python could be really good at this. Now bash is our first choice because that's kind of what we're learning, and it's similar to the example that I just gave. You're going to create a regular expression for a person's name and a telephone number. You're going to use these regular expressions to verify that the user is supplying valid data. More flexible specifications will be graded higher. No pressure. Just do what you can do, okay? It's really hard to get a program to pass all of these, accept these, and not accept those. It is extremely difficult. And then when it comes to numbers, to accept all of these are supposedly valid around the world, and then reject these. So your regular expression will be complex. And there are two things that we're accepting: names and telephone numbers. And some of these include international numbers. You're required to provide source code, and also you could provide pictures of your code doing this. I normally in prior classes we had presentations where we just showed it through Zoom and said, hey, can you present your code, what you got, show our code, the code that you've created, and then you demo the code. For this though, I think there's a way that we can do this without having to demo your program or present your code to the class, because we're not hybrid, we're fully online. So what I would recommend is just submitting some detailed pictures of it working, as many as you can do. If you want to go for the gold and have your program accept these and reject these and accept all of these and reject all of these, by all means do it. But it is very rare, and I've given full credit for some students that did not get them all, and they still got 100%. Okay? So I want you to know that it's okay if you're struggling with that. Just detail it. Tell us how you attempted it. What was this? Where were you at? Do that on the write up. So um, if you want to put it all on a Word document with images and your code all on a Word or some type of document, so I can see what you did and some examples of it working, that would be wonderful. And then you can also make sure that you have your code in there, either in the very end, in the appendix, or in the beginning somewhere, so that I can see, and also the name of the language and things of that you decided to do. So I'd like for you to kind of just detail your journey on this project. And I'll be posting some resources as well. I think I did this project in Python, and I can share my code, the code that I have will do all of this exactly right. It will, and also keep in mind that there are other acceptable names and other acceptable phone numbers that's not on this list. Okay, so feel free to modify it, but this is the bare minimum. And honestly, like this type of name, it's actually, or even having 4 names, shouldn't be unacceptable. But right now it's in the unacceptable list. Um, if you want to argue that it is acceptable, it will pass your acceptable or whatever, okay, by all means. I'm not, this is a database command. Your code should, I mean, this would be to inject this into the input. This could be a huge problem, and this as well. So keep in mind, um, this is the project that we're going to be working on the next 2 weeks. This is what it's dealing with, and that's it. I'm still going to modify a couple of the other dates. I think yeah, we might have to pull out the week 10 material and do our review here, and even discuss the final exam, which is just 15 questions. And I don't think it's available right now, so we will have to modify this so that it is it's going to be available from the last date on. So I will fix the date on that as well. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here, and let me know if you have any questions or not on this. All right, talk soon.